Well, that wasn't what I meant to do. Hi, guys. This is Mark Black. And this is Mark Teaches Music. And I want you to have fun. And I want you to be awesome. And I want you to not lose your ears with feedback. So, today is the 12th day of September 2023. This is episode 61, my goodness, of To Play and Sing at Mark Teaches Music. And so in this live stream, To Play and Sing, I'm trying to answer every question you might have in the entire earth, musical question. And so you need to ask your question, stick it in. However, I have a topic. And today's topic is fame versus skill. And how do you balance those? What are you seeking for? What should you be seeking? And we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that. Now, hey, Tom. And so you could talk about, bring up any of your questions totally unrelated to this. However, I'm going to be talking about this. And if you have questions about it and statements and you want to fill in things, please do so. I relish your questions about anything, but especially about this. Since that's our topic, although I want this to be a venue for us moving around and doing things that you're interested in, care about. So anyway, let's see, that's not quite what I want. I don't think I could do that. I'm trying to figure out this little interface deal here. Okay, so, and then there are 61 of these, and most of them have, oh my gosh, I'd say five questions, average of five questions. There, TDV, hello. So I'm just saying there's an easy 300 questions answered on here already if you go through them and listen to them. So for information about lessons, go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com, and there's information there about me teaching lessons. And you can read about me also in many papers. No, I'm kidding. Just read about me on the website. And if you got any questions, you can send me an email. But how to set up lessons if you want to do that. And then if you got any questions, of course, put them in this freaking chat right here, right? But if it's later than that, just send me an email at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com. And I want you to jump right in and send me your questions. And don't wait. Just put them in the chat, like I said. And I'll get to them as soon as I see them. And I have purposefully placed this so that I may see them as soon as possible, moving them so that I can see them well. So, all right. And if you like this, you need to hit subscribe. You need to click the bell for notifications. You need to share this, and you need to send me money or cars, things like that. Or a truck, a nice Ford F-350 would be great. Not a dually. Okay, so here we are. So we're talking about fame versus skill. And now remember, just jump in with your questions. So there's basically a different set of skill sets for pursuing fame versus pursuing being skillful, playing and singing well. And I just can't stand this. I got to try to make this. This is just, I don't like this. Let's make this go down. And then now we can see the top of my screen, which is not making me happy. And now it's doing this too. So, I'm thinking that's going to get edited out. What do you think? Okay, well, that's as good as I could do. So, all right. So anyway, fame versus skill, and there's different skill sets needed for both of these. And both of these things are very, very valid things to want as a musician, as somebody who's, presenting their music to people. And can you do both things? Is a good question, and you do have to be skillful at both things. You can't just that is It's not just I want to be famous and therefore I'm just going to be famous, or I want to be skillful and I'm just going to be skillful. I'd love to know your opinion on yourself, and because fame fame is based on your performance. So basically somebody who wants to be famous, and I mean this is a positive thing. I want to influence a lot of people. I get excited when I'm in front of people and I'm performing and doing my music in front of people. It's not that exciting when it's by myself. So anyway, it's totally fine. I want, so we could look at another word for performing another word for, I'm sorry, for being famous as I'm performing marvelously and exciting, and gosh, somebody picks that up and now I'm famous. So we could say performing versus skill. And we're gonna come to the fame aspect in a minute, but at the moment I'm gonna kind of look at it as people who want to perform versus people who want to be skillful. So neither one is wrong, and you are already in your personality the way you are is you're aimed at either I want to play for other people, sing for other people, I want them to see it, I want them to like it, versus I want to do this skillfully, I want to do this well, I want to do it correctly, these kind of words. So, hey, Jeffrey, hadn't seen you in a long time. So please answer me, those of you who have logged in there, but anybody, answer me right now. I'd love to know what you think about yourself, as to whether you are focused on performing for people, other people getting this, versus I am focused on playing correctly. And this is mostly a temperament thing. So if anybody has a response, I'll check that out in just a second. And so this is in I'm going to keep on going now. If you got an opinion, I'll ask this again later. So it's like, what are you interested in? Are you interested in being correct and accurate? Or are you interested in people's bringing the audience to a place of emotion and these kinds of things? So anyway, people who are focused on skill is like their attitude would be, I'm working to be better, and I'm working to discover what the things I do are I'm working to be one of the best that there is. You may not say I can be one of the best there is, as in I'm so amazing, but like I just want to get better and better at this, and that's their heart cry. The thing they're really wanting to do is to get more skillful, more more gooder at this. And the people who are focused on performing and fame is like they're trying to bring their audience to a place of emotion and excitement, convincing. They want to be convincing what they want to do. They want to do their things awesomely and excellently, exciting, dramatic, these kinds of words. And we do for, we'll talk about it for both personalities, or not personalities, both approaches. I want to be skillful versus I want to be famous. Both of them require a minimum skill set. So I'm saying for the person who wants to perform and be famous or perform, that person has to have a minimum skill set. They can't just be like, I'm so cool, make me famous. There has to be some skills there, and a different standard really. So anyway, this person who wants to be famous, they are just, whereas the skillful person wants to do things better and more accurately and these kind of things, the person who's focused on performing they want those mistakes and errors to go away, so they can present themselves and what they're doing to a crowd of people. That is, they're not so much thinking, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, oh no, I did it wrong. They're thinking of it like, if I could get rid of these mistakes, this would be a great performance, and people would love this, and this crowd would be happy. So someone who's focused on fame and performance is actually perfecting the skill of performing. And fame, and one way of looking at it, it's got to be the product of great performances. So somebody has a lot of great performances is a performer, and then B, in the basket of people to draw from to become famous. So let's see. So for the person who wants to be famous, they are focused on performance skills, as opposed to the person who's focused on skill is looking at skills for themselves. So now this is actually a contrasting the idea of fame versus skill. And so every kind of music, and here's what I want to present about this, is that every kind of music has got a general consumption version for the general populace, and it's got a skilled version, a multi-skilled version. So country music compared to bluegrass music. Country music is, don't rock the jukebox, I want to hear George Jones, versus Well, we could do traditional bluegrass or newgrass or all kind of different stuff. But the point is, bluegrass is much harder music. Rock compared to progressive rock, swing and big band music compared with cool jazz and bebop. I'm saying, so in every kind of music, that was jazz, in case you didn't know. So every kind of music has got a. This is the big picture. Everybody's doing this. R&B, and then maybe we could come down to a more aggressive, might be funk, or it might be please don't hurt me, might be smooth jazz, like this is a more skillful and more specific. It's harder, skillful, therefore it is a smaller group of people. So be aware that as you go from the general consumption style of music to the more skillful kind of music, the audience reduces, and there's a smaller size. So bluegrass has a tenth of the audience as country music. Progressive rock has a tenth of the audience of rock. Cool jazz, straight ahead jazz has a tenth of the audience that swing and the big band did. And there's a whole bunch of things you could say about that. But I'm pointing out that the more skillful and difficult and aggressive the music is, I'm telling you this, if you want to be a performer and you want to be famous, you need to realize that if it's very, very skillful, very, very intricate, very, very complicated, the average listener, it takes an investment for them to listen to it and enjoy it. And so there'll be a lot less people that want to do that. And most people, just like I don't want to know about my air conditioner, I don't want it to be explained to me how it works. I don't want to know about my car, how it works. I just want it to run. That's all I care about. And so that's the same thing with people's music. I just want to dance to this. I just want to put this on, and I don't want to, be like, oh, what's that chord? And that is most people's attitude towards the kind of music they like. Is that wrong? Not at all. Not at all. Is it wrong to whistle? Is it wrong to, if I want to jog, do I have to be an Olympic class runner to jog? No. So same thing with music. It's fine that music is that there's just fun country songs that are just kind of neat and not exactly how did he play that? How did he move his fingers that fast? So thinking about, a Taylor Swift concert, a Garth Brooks, they will rent out the American Airlines Theater. Joe Satriani and Corey Wong will rent out the House of Blues. So there'll be 70,000 people in the first thing, and there'll be 400 in the next thing. And in the more difficult, the better musician, not performer, better musician will have the smaller audience because of the audience reducing in terms of do I want to be challenged by that. So I want you to comment that I want you to have it in your head that if you become skillful and you're enjoying skill and you're like working skill, that the audience is going to reduce. It does not mean it's not worth it. It may be super worth it. And there's another thing is that there's this synergy of musicians, that's focusing on like we're hip, we're cool, we're relevant, we're cutting edge, and oh my gosh, this is so synergistic, so exciting. Snarky Puppy, Nickel Creek, Punch Brothers, Steely Dan, Bella Fleck, who else? That's all. That's good. I mean, really great music. I mean, not great, amazing music, wonderful, incredible music. But because of the complexity, again, the audience is reduced. At the same time, the people who are listening to that music are ecstatic about it. So it's a very, very engaged group of people, and perhaps giving off the aura of this is incredible and it's so popular, everybody knows about it. And I'm going to put a point there in that, and then make a sub comment of it's just like, I'm sorry, and period. And then classical music, most people don't like classical music. Jazz, most people don't like jazz. Blues, most people don't like blues. And I was telling somebody this. I mean, I do things like I ask somebody who's playing, I can't think of any of these names, Charlie Puth, which is old. I can't think of his name. His face is frozen now. He's having a problem with his face. Anyway, so the point is, I talk to people that listen to music like this, and they do not like any of those three, including the blues. And but I'm not cutting that. I'm just trying to say people's taste, um, what they're supposed to like, and what they actually like, what they know to say to drop a name, is not necessarily what they're listening to in their car. So anyway, so you know, Garth Brooks, Taylor Swift, Pink, you know, Maroon 5, you know, these people will have big, big audiences. Their music is good. Doesn't mean it's not really skillful performers doing that music. I'm talking about including the artist. They definitely have skilled performers with them. Doesn't mean they're not doing skilled things. For example, the um, Adventure of a Lifetime by Coldplay, which is a great group, you know. But it opens with a really cool riff, you know. It's a great, cool riff. It's just that the rest of the song is not, you thought that was tough. Here's even more tough stuff. Um, uh, so that will be a group, as you know, obvious thing to say, but you know, Coldplay, a group with you know, thousands and thousands of people, millions, sorry, hundreds of thousands and millions of people listening to. Whereas a group like Kendo, the Reign of Kendo, is more complicated music and Steely Dan, so they'll have less. So I'm just saying, as you're thinking about, do I want to be a performer and I want to be famous, or do I want to be skillful? You're thinking, well, you know, the performer's thinking, well, I have to be cool enough, interesting enough that people are going to listen to me and want to listen. But if it gets really crazy, like in other words, you're not going to see the world's most famous musician who's raking in the dough. The next Taylor Swift is not going to be a bluegrass musician. They're not going to be a jazz musician, and that's the straight up truth. And you'll point to somebody, which I'm not disagreeing with. You're pointing to somebody like Esmeralda Spalding or whoever, Alison Krauss. There, you know, and they're very famous, you know. But again, they don't get to Taylor Swift numbers. Because of the music you're picking. So I'm saying you need to think about that, both as a person who wants to be skillful versus a person who wants to be a performer and famous. So, and then what it takes to be famous changes over the decades. Just as from a lot more amazing solos in music in the 60s and 70s. And I'm just talking about solos. I'm not talking about the music is or not. It may not be as great in music, but what I'm talking about right now is that there's a lot of really skill. Wow, that guy's incredible solo. We don't hear as much of that now, although there are just as good and maybe even better soloists. It's just again they're less. Let's see. A pretty unique example. I was thinking of some examples of people who are both. And I would like to know your opinion if y'all got somebody to say, people who are both skillful musicians and popular musicians. Not popular like, well, I'm going to say Corey Wong, because you don't even know who he is probably, but is a just phenomenal musician and really great. Is the kind of music he does is not esoteric and strange. It's just that it's complicated. It's hard music, and so the listener, I think, is not off put. It's just more like he's not relaxed. But Brad Paisley is a good example of somebody. Depends on how much you know about him, but I'm just saying he's a hey, you know, I'm the famous country singer Brad Paisley, but he's a phenomenal guitar player, and great guitar players learn things from him, and he learns from them too. Glenn Campbell. I know y'all been thinking about Glenn Campbell a lot. Glenn Campbell got his start as a first call studio musician. Was in the with the Wrecking Crew, and then he got his break and became his super famous in his day. I was thinking about Michael Jackson. I was thinking about Tori Amos. People who are just incredibly skilled and successful. I think Michael would be way up there, Brad Paisley way up there, Glenn Campbell way up there. I don't know about Tori. I think she's in both sing musicals, and she's phenomenal. I just don't know quite, you know, what is a song by her and a song by Billie Eilish What are the numbers? That's what we're talking about. Now, if you can think of somebody, this is you people who are listening. You know, if you think of somebody else who's a great performer, fame, and they are also very skilled. You know, Eric Clapton. Although I was thinking about Eric Clapton, but I was thinking, I think Eric was famous as a guitar player, his slow hand. But I think that when we're like just going, whoa, Eric Clapton is God. I don't agree with that, but that's what, written someplace in England. It's more the music creed. I'm not saying he didn't play good solos. I'm just saying it's more of the mood. So anyway, if you got some ideas, I'd be interested, and you can put them in the comments. You can send me an email and say, hey, I think this guy's a person who's a great performer as well as a very skilled musician. So again, I don't mean that Garth Brooks and Taylor or Billie Eilish or Ed Sheeran, I don't mean that they don't have great, interesting things in their music and that they don't have really skilled musicians. I'm not saying that or even thinking that. It's just that that's not the point. The point of their music is to cry, to laugh, to sing, to be like, and to be transported into this truth, and that emotional / psychological world can be indicative of someone who's focused on performing and thus being famous. They're not probably thinking about it as fame as such, but just, I'm performing, I get people to move. And so the bottom line again is that a skillful person is focused on skills, and they want to develop the skills. They want to be skillful and these kind of things. And so let's see. Yeah, exactly. So let's see. So it's a very small chance for a skilled performer to be famous. And I said some people, and I was thinking about George Benson. George Benson, incredible guitar player, amazing. He had his day where he was like, on Broadway, on Broadway, anyway, he had his day in the 70s, right? And now any people who know him now would think of him as a guitarist, although in the day he was a singer and a guitarist and a lot of big hits. So most people who are famous aren't making their living from being famous. And I'm just saying, if you take the population of the world, I'm going to call it 6 billion people. The other thing I want to talk about being famous and being skillful is that I want you to think about, I need people to think about the fact that, so if there's 8 billion people in the world, so I'm going to say that one out of 100 is interested in music. So you're in a school, there is way more than this, but I'm just saying you're in a high school. I'm saying there's 1,000 people in your school. I'm saying, 10 of those people, 10 people there want to be musicians. So the whole population of the world, there's 80 million people who play and sing, and honestly, maybe 8,000, 10,000 make their living as musicians. I don't mean they teach in college. I don't mean they teach lessons. I don't mean that they, play in a band on Thursday night and then they have a day job. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the picture of, I'm famous and all I do is just that I make my entire living from my albums and touring. That's it, and there are very, very few people that do that. So we're talking about, so if you're seeking to perform, you're really seeking, to have the skills to be famous. And then as we all know, I just want to comment, as we all know, and I'm wrapping up here, everybody, the actual becoming famous, as opposed to, I got these great performance skills, and I've had many students, I don't know if it matters, I had a student get up to the top 4 in American Idol, but that ultimate becoming famous is so, we used to say in music school, it's a fact that someplace like University of Indiana will graduate 20 people with master's degrees in oboe. That's my degrees in oboe. And one school graduating 20 people with degrees in oboe, and there's 28 major symphonies. They have 3 oboe positions, maybe 2 come open a year. And so, in an audition, 100 people are going to play, 20 people, 10 people are going to play flawlessly, emotionally, incredibly. How are they going to pick that person? They're not. They're going to pick somebody, and 9 people who are just as good and perhaps better are going to walk away without a job. And the same thing for being famous. All these people that are great performers, great emotional, moving the audience and all this kind of stuff. And because of how many positions, if you will, how many new cutting edge bands can there be? There can't be 700 of them. There can only be one. There can't be that many. And then, so I'm just saying that the idea that I'm going to get better and better, and then I'm going to break through because of my skill. Some people do that. Or I'm going to be, I'm going to go crazy on stage. I'm going to do these incredible things, and I'm just going to perform, and I'm going to be so phenomenal in that, and that's going to make me famous. Both of those ideas, in terms of being famous, in terms of making it, are inaccurate, because unfortunately so. And there are just so many people that cannot and are not able to pull that off. Like, I don't mean that they're not good. It sounds like I'm saying they're not good enough. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, it is for many, many people, it's just that you happen to meet this guy at a banquet, or you happen to have the right hair color, or you happen to be the 13th person that sent in a demo, and it happened to hit right when they needed, that song is that. Tons of people, if you watch famous people talk about their breakthroughs, tons of them are just stuff like, we needed this kind of a song, and your thing was there right then when we needed it. So I'm only talking about that you can't count on that as a way to succeed. So as a skillful musician, you need strong performance skills also. And that's a part of so you're focused on skill, you want to do it right, but you've got to, what the audience has to conclude that you are there for them, and you usually, most people cannot get that consummation of their abilities by anything other than playing for an audience. And I don't mean that necessarily by being famous. I just mean that you're doing that. And then performers, there has to be a minimum skill level to where people are not worried about you messing up. They're not, and then beyond, that's the limit, bottom limit. And then above that, that people are they're looking forward to something exciting, dramatic, powerful, and transporting the other person, the audience, into another world that they weren't expecting. So, and that includes things like, if you're singing high notes or dramatic notes on your instrument, fast passages, not necessarily as intense as the skillful person or the skillful group, but nonetheless. So anyway, so I'm just saying that in one sense, both of those, the person focused on skill has to have performance skills so that their music sounds complete. And then the person focused on performing and being famous has to have enough skills and enough together from a technical standpoint that we can quit worrying about them messing up, and we can count on them taking us places we want to go. So that is an overview of skill versus fame, and what you should be looking for, what to look out for, what will occur when you're doing that. Now, and so I don't see any other questions here. I'm going to look here real quick and see if I have a last question. And there it was. Look at that. Well, here's a completely true. I'm sorry, musician joke. Here's a musician joke, but nobody's got to get it. But a good vocalist might get this. So what's the definition of an alto? What's the definition of an alto? The definition of alto is a soprano who can sight read. That's actually true. So, like all good jokes, it's got truth in it, but you'd have to know what it is. So, and I'll go ahead and explain it because I'm a geek and say that. So, in a choir, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, and there could be other divisions in that. But that's the normal thing. So the alto, I mean, the soprano's got the melody, right? She's singing the whatever the name of the song is. The bass is basically outlining the chords with the bass line, just like a bass. But he's basically so those are the two most you can say important and most noticeable needed parts. Got to have a melody, got to have something in that line of thing. The tenor, he's with his high voice, he is typically outlining, hitting interesting chord tones, and he's standing out because it's his high voice. So the scrap around person to find a part, just to get a part in there, is the alto, and I mean this positively. Usually the altos are the best, have the best ears and the best readers because it's like their part hops around and fills in gaps and stuff, as opposed to, hi Cody John. So anyway, their part jumps around and they're having to do typically a lot harder part than pretty much everybody. I don't mean so this person can have a higher part or lower part, but the alto usually is one of the better musicians in the parts. So that is a true truth there. What's the definition of an alto? A soprano who can sight read. And by the way, if you are an alto, a lot of times, you think you're an alto, a lot of times it's only because the choir director said, I need somebody with a good ear on this part. You're it. You may not have an alto voice. It's possible that you don't. Okay, I'm done with talking about fame, and so I want to say that for more information about lessons, go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com, and there's information there about lessons. And if you got any questions, this is over now. Email me at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com, and keep coming back to this. And then there's like 200, 300 topics in these. So look at those. And as always, until I see you again, I want you to have fun